Good afternoon from BBC New Broadcasting House here in London. My name is Nihal Arthanaika from the BBC Asia Network, and
I'm Harjap Singh Bangle, immigration lawyer.
He is an immigration lawyer, and he's the Obi-Wan Kenobi, an absolute genius of immigration lawyers. And the reason that we're here talking to you on Facebook Live today is because we want to answer your questions, or more accurately, he wants to answer your questions about how Brexit will impact upon your immigration rights. Or indeed, how you think, after voting to leave or to remain, how the government, how the politicians will actually deliver the promises that they made. Now, Harjap, straight off the bat, there were a lot of things said about immigration pre-Brexit.
And post.
And post, indeed, and post, indeed. And there were lots of kind of promises on both sides, but all of it was kind of pointing towards somehow that they could control immigration. Yeah. The Leave side was saying, well, you can't, of course, if you stay in the EU. Yeah. The Remain side was saying, well, you can, but didn't really quite know how to. Tell me, what is the reality now? We're a month hence Brexit.
Right.
What do we know?
If you're asking me what the position on immigration is now, as it was prior to, say, 2 months ago, it's exactly the same. There's been no physical change. So the rights that were in place 2 months ago, it's exactly the same now. That's been stated on the government website. That's been stated by lawyers. That's been stated by everyone. So the rules technically haven't changed. And so anybody who was exercising free movement 2 months ago is more than able to exercise their free movement now in today's age, until we actually physically Brexit and Article 50's activated.
Okay, and invoked. Now, the most important thing about this is not, of course, Harjap and my good self having a conversation. It's about your questions to us about the impact of Brexit on your immigration status, on the immigration status of your friends, what it means for the amount of immigrants coming into this country. Any questions, in fact, immigration related. In fact, just a few hours ago, this man here and I was sitting in our BBC Asia Network studio answering questions from the public, and I have this trusty piece of generic tablet sitting here on my lap, which, of course, the questions will come directly to. So get your questions to us, and then I will put them to Harjap. Now, Harjap, since, of course, it happened on the 23rd of June, what are the most common questions that you are getting? And bear in mind, you can keep asking these questions as well.
Right, the first question is, right, I'm European, do I have to leave the UK? Well, the only Europeans who are assured to stay here and have been given a guarantee of staying here are the ones who have been in the UK for more than 5 years, but have also been exercising their EU rights, i.e. they've been working. So if you're a Polish national and you've been here 6 years and you've been working for them 6 years, you're pretty much guaranteed to stay. You can apply for something called a permanent residence card, which is like a blue sticker, blue card, and it gives you a permanent right to reside in the UK, and it can prove it. Alternatively, if you've been here 6 years and you're a European citizen, you can also apply for a nationality. Now, you still have to do the English language tests that we know about, the Life in the UK and the ESOL B1 life skills test, but you can apply for nationality. Now, when I say this to people, a lot of people get offended. They go, why should I have to give up my Polish nationality or Latvian nationality? I don't want to do it just because the British people voted out. But there's a key element in this, that a lot of European countries allow dual nationality. So you can physically hold both passports. So therefore, if you can be British as well as Polish or Latvian or French or Danish, there's only a few European countries which don't let you have dual nationalities, and Norway is one of them, and Spain is the other one in certain cases. However, majority of the European countries say, we've got no problem, you can have dual nationality. Now, what having dual nationality will do, it will, one, make you a British citizen, so you can never be kicked out of the UK. That includes, because remember, even if you've got indefinite leave to remain, if you become a foreign offender, not that everyone wants to become a foreign offender, right? No. But if they do, you can still get kicked out. So I might be an Indian national with indefinite leave to remain for the past 20 years, and I commit a robbery. If a judge says we've got to deport him, they can deport him. You can't deport British citizens. Where are you going to deport them back to? Right. So that's one of the major advantages, albeit for that reason, right? But the other thing is your dependents, so your wife, your children, then can apply for nationality on your basis because their partner or their father is a British citizen. So what we're seeing at the moment is a big rise in applications for British citizenship, and that's created as a result, direct result of the Brexit, because European nationals who've been here, say, for more than 6 years are scared, and they think, you know what, We don't want to get kicked out, even though the government said we're not going to kick you out. But we're going to apply for British citizenship as well.
Okay, well, look, please keep getting your questions into us. Harjap is here to answer all your immigration-related questions, especially post-Brexit, where there are so many people who do feel insecure about their immigration status. And that's not me making it up. That's what you've just heard an immigration lawyer say, because people are coming to see us. Now, Lily asks an interesting question.
Yeah.
Was Brexit a move against immigration, do you think? Now, you're not, of course, a policymaker, you're an immigration lawyer.
Do you want my personal opinion?
Yes, your
I
personal
believe it was a total anti-immigration vote. Not just from, say, the indigenous British public, but also immigrants who had come here. So a lot of the Asian community, a lot of people that I know, a lot of people in my community, they voted out. And the whole reason was there's too many immigrants here. I'm like, well, isn't that sort of like taking advantage of a system and closing the door for others? And they were like, no, because it wasn't because of the new immigrants. This country's gone downhill. These are the things that I was hearing. So I think it was, and now we're finding out when we interview people and ask them, and they think, well, actually, shall we speak the truth? Yeah, we did vote because of immigration. Because if you look at the other issues...
But there's nothing wrong with having an issue with immigration.
No,
if you've seen the area that you were brought up in, now Asians, for instance, I know in Southall, for instance, had issues with Somalian immigration in Southall, and it created quite a lot of tension in that area.
Well, they had issues with the people who were, even the people who were living illegally had issues with the students.
Sorry, you had people who were living here illegally having issue with students.
Yeah, who had come over.
Who did they complain to?
No one.
Right, okay. No one was listening. Right, yeah. James is an Italian citizen, currently doing masters in London.
Yeah.
Does Brexit affect his studies, is what James is asking.
No.
Buongiorno, James.
Yeah, it doesn't affect your studies. As long as you're studying here, you have a right to study here. In the future, after 2018, they might say to you, you're going to need a student visa to study in the UK. But that will be easily obtainable, or they might not, because this is how unclear it is at the moment. There is no policy. Nobody is telling anybody what is going to happen to people who haven't been here, who've been in less than 5 years, and it's them people like maybe James, who are in limbo, because we don't know what's going to happen with people like that. So, but at the moment, there's absolutely no problem till 2017 or 2018, until with Brexit. Your position is exactly the same as it was, say, perhaps 2 years ago, or perhaps, 2 months ago. Your position is the same. Nothing has physically changed. No law has been written. No law has been changed. The position is the same. So that's something you need to...
We have technical issues, so we're passing that over to someone who hopefully can sort out those technical issues. That doesn't mean for a second, of course, that we can't keep taking your questions. Please keep getting them to us here at Facebook Live when a lovely man there runs off with our generic tablet and tries to find out why WhatsApp doesn't work anymore. Well, there you go. Lots of insecurity around this. There is, of course, as Lily pointed out in her question about immigration, this idea that many people had, which was now we can control our borders, now we can bring these numbers down. But yet, of course, half, or perhaps just over half, of the net migration to this country was from outside of the EU.
Yeah.
Now, how can the government get that down? Now, I know you're not, of course, the minister in charge of that. You're not the Home Secretary, Amber Rudd. But from an immigration lawyer's perspective...
If I was, we wouldn't be in this mess.
Oh, right, okay, right, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so what can they do to reduce non-EU immigration then?
Well, they've tried their best. What the new system's been implemented by Theresa May, and which I can assume will only get stricter now because she's Prime Minister, pretty much she's got a free hand. What they've done is anyone who's here on a work permit, if you're earning less than 35,000, you won't be allowed to settle here. So you'll have to go back home after your 5 years. And a work permit cannot be extended for more than 6 years. So they say, go back and get a new work permit, but we won't let you settle here. Because what happened before, people on 18,000, 20,000, even say chefs, they were settling in the UK, and then they were calling their wives over, and then, or their husbands over, and then their children over. And that adds to net migration. Let's explain to the viewers what net migration is. Net migration is the people coming into the UK, minus the people leaving the UK. So it's about the people who actually stay on here and then subsequently settle. That's what net migration is. So in order to get that down further, they created a minimum salary required for British citizens to sponsor their spouses over 18,600. That saw a reduction in applications coming as a spouse. But you're hitting the wrong areas. I think the right areas to target were the people who were dependents of the EA nationals. So if I'm a Belgian citizen in the UK, I don't need a minimum wage I don't need 18,600 to call my spouse over, who's might be non-EU. I can call my kids over up to the age of 21 and my parents. And this is what was happening. There were families of 6, 7 people. And after they've been here 5 years, they were getting indefinite leave to remain.
Okay.
So that was adding to net migration.
We have lots of questions coming in. Please do keep them coming in. We have gone from generic tablet to generic mobile phone here, such is the technology. Danny has said, are Europeans in the UK going to be replaced with workers from the developing nations?
I don't think so. I don't think so. This was the myth that was being floated around. So people got in India, in China, they got excited saying, yeah, we're glad people voted Brexit. And I said, why are you glad people voted Brexit? They said, because it means they're going to let us lot in. What it means is now the law is going to be equally as tough for everybody.
Yes.
It's not going to be a relaxation for some countries, we're going to let people in from India and China and Africa to do the unskilled jobs. Because what this country is saying it doesn't need is they don't want unskilled labour. And if you look at countries like Canada, Australia and New Zealand, their system is all geared up to letting skilled people in to their countries. And I think this is the way that this country is going. We tried to go down that route a few years ago with a system called a highly skilled migrant programme, but we messed it up and that system finished, is no longer available. And that was open to abuse, and they found highly skilled migrants working in superstores, and people had come in and the system was abused. So they decided to scrap it. But it doesn't mean that we're going to open the doors to other migrants. It just means now we can apply a uniform system of immigration rules to any migrant who wants to come into
Lots
the UK.
of questions. Shabir is asking, what is the future of students in Britain and the people who recently migrated? Rizwan is asking what happens to couples who are mixed British EU. And Maria said, will foreigners need a visa to enter Britain? Well, let's start with Shabir's question. What is the future of students in Britain and the people who recently migrated?
The policy for students was very clear. Clear? Was very clear from the start.
Odd,
yes, you could say. The student policy was, welcome to Britain, study, go home. And that is still the policy. You will not be allowed to study for more than 5 years at the maximum. That's if you do a postgraduate and maybe a PhD. If you're doing an undergraduate, then 3 years. If you're a student looking to settle in the UK, I've got some bad news for you. You chose the wrong country. The countries you need to choose are Canada, Australia, New Zealand, because they offer post-study work visas.
Is America?
America is a bit tough on students.
Okay.
If I was a student, I'd look to go elsewhere. And a lot of students are actually, while they're in status here, applying for, say, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. A lot have already left. The people who are overstaying here or trying to stay here, there's not much future for that. I'm sorry, Shabir.
Okay. Yeah. Rizwan says, what happens to couples who are mixed British EU, Harjat?
Well, then technically that's good for them, because then they can switch to spouses of British citizens. And they can apply for a visa as long as their spouse is earning over 18,600. Actually, their incomes can be combined to do that. So one spouse can be earning 10,000, the other one can be earning 12. As long as the total is more than 18,600, you'll be able to get a visa. There's no way they can kick spouses of British citizens out. And I would advise that if you have children here, then they obtain British nationality if you're a mixed couple.
Okay, Maria asks, will foreigners need a visa to enter Britain? Keep these questions coming in. We've got Harjap only for a few minutes more, so just keep these questions coming in. Want to get them to you.
Foreigners they do need a visa. But if you're talking about European nationals, they might just say, look, if you want to come for a visit, then you don't need a visa. But if you're going to come to work, you want to come to study, or you want to come to,
for anything over 6 months?
Yeah, anything over 6 months, then you're going to need a visa. That is currently the position for people from Canada, America, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, who want to come here. Everyone, if you want to come for a visit, you don't need a visa. But if you're going to want to come for longer than 6 months, then you're going to have to get the same visa that, say, an Indian national would need, a Chinese national would need, a Nigerian national would need. So the visa system applies across the board. The only exemption was for countries who come as a visitor, for developed countries. But yeah, you will need that.
Okay, Ian asks a very pertinent question. What happens to British expats in Spain, of which, of course, there are thousands?
Well, this is a thing.
No one knows, do they?
No one knows, because this is a bargaining chip going on at the moment.
Yes.
So what's happening is, I think some countries in Europe have said, look, if you send our lot back, your lot are coming back. And it's very straight. And we know Netherlands has said that, right?
Yeah.
Spain are bargaining with Britain. They're saying, right, if you let our Spanish people stay, who are there, then we won't send your lot back. We won't send the
So
British
they've actually
people back.
explicitly said this.
Pretty much on the table, they've said, right, and it's yet to be thrashed out and discussed. France have said, it doesn't matter whether you send us back or not. Any British person in France is more than welcome to stay here. So, I mean, every country's now got its different bargaining power. It's like you're in a club for 20 odd years or 30 odd years.
Right.
You leave a club and all the members then don't want to talk to you. You have to phone everyone individually then and get your phone out and say, right, my relationship with you is still all right. I don't get on with Billy, but John's all right. Me and you, we'll still go for a few beers tonight. So this is what's happening now. Everyone's angling out who's going out with who and who's going to be dating who and who likes whose family and who's not. And that's still to be decided. But at the moment, the expats are safe. There's nothing to worry about at the moment. I think a deal will be struck because I don't think that Britain wants, well, it's going to sound really bad, but I don't think Britain wants the million people back because they're going to...
Not sure they want to come back to the rain and the drizzle and the grey clouds. If you're in Spain, you're lucky thing,
Ian.
Ian.
If they're elderly, they're not going to be a pressure
burden
on the NHS and, you know...
Well, they've paid into the system for decades,
paid into the system, yeah.
and they're enjoying their retirement.
Yeah.
Florence said, I'm a European. I've lived in the UK for 31 years. My husband is English. What are my prospects?
Sorry, what did she say?
She's a European.
Yeah.
She's lived here 31 years.
31 years.
She's lived here. Husband is English. What are her prospects? I'm thinking pretty good.
You're
right?
safe.
I'm thinking pretty good.
Anyone over 6 years, European national.
But that's not
safe.
automatic, right?
That's not automatic.
So you have to go.
Yeah.
And so Florence should look into this, right?
Florence needs to apply for something called a permanent residence card. There's a form called EEAPR. Fill that out. They're going to ask, that will give you a card which gives you permanent residence. So if you ever get, so you don't have to give up your nationality and you don't have to get a visa on the basis of your husband. You can get this for yourself as long as you've worked here for the last 6 years. If you show that, you'll be fine. That will secure your position. Any European national who's been here for more than 6 years and has been working, get that form, download that form. Don't crash their website. Wait a few minutes. EEAPR. That's what we need to fill out. Fill that out, read the guidance, send it off. You'll get that card. Bang, you're safe.
Now, don't wish to rush you, but we've only got about 4 minutes left, 5 minutes left, so please keep getting your questions to us. Harjap's got to be somewhere else, just checking his watch there.
No, I'm all right. I'm all right for about 10 minutes.
Good. We need to keep you here. Why would Brexit increase immigration, asks Zena.
Right, because what's going to happen is all the Europeans here, like I've just said before, have been more than 6 years, they're going to think, oh no, they're going to chuck us out. They're going to chuck us out. All this hysteria has been created, and that's true. There is hysteria created now because someone who's been here 31 years has just asked us what's going to happen to me. So therefore she's worried about her position, right? So everyone's going to apply for British nationality. So the British nationality figures are going to go up and it's going to take people longer to process the application. The government will get more fees, but we haven't got the staff at the moment to deal with it. So you're going to see the number of British nationals is going to go up.
Right.
It's actually going to go up. That's why immigration is going to increase in the figures. For the next 2 years, you're going to see a surge. The other thing which we are worried about is that between now and the actual time that Article 50 is activated, there will be a panic from maybe countries like Romania, Bulgaria, Latvia, Lithuania, of people coming over thinking, if we get in before the cut-off date, because the cut-off date hasn't been announced, then we'll be fine. Now I need to tell everybody now, if you're thinking of leaving Europe, selling up and coming to settle in Britain, and you've got a European passport, that is not a good thing to do. That will be a mistake because the government has not guaranteed the position. In fact, last week David Davis said anybody who's coming in between the date of the Brexit till the date we actually till Article 50
it's not guaranteed.
It's not guaranteed. So the last thing you want to do is sell up shop and then come here and then find out, look, you're being kicked out of here as well.
Okay, well, look, we've got 2 comments more than questions. Naomi says, is there any concern about the growing impact of abhorrent racism Brexit seems to have revealed? Sue Ellen says, speculation, and more speculation. Nobody knows what's going to happen. So, abhorrent racism Brexit seems to reveal. I mean, we can't comment on these kind of statements, as it were. Certainly there has been a spike in hate crimes since that. Yagnesh said, what will happen, and that's according to the Metropolitan Police, Yagnesh said, what will happen with skilled workers? Will there be a tier system? Can they get in if required, where an industry lacks talent in the UK, Harjap?
Well, yeah, we do have a system at the moment called a points-based system, where under Tier 1 you can come as investors. Tier 2 you can come as under a work permit scheme if you're a skilled worker and if a company sponsors you. That's it. But if you're looking at a point system, nobody knows at the moment what exactly going to be happening. It was suggested that we're going to go to a Canada style or Australian style point style system. That isn't the first time we've heard that. We've been listening to that for what, 5 years, 6 years,
And of course,
we've
in
tried
Australia,
systems and we've failed.
there's more immigrants per head in Australia under a
Yeah.
points-based system than there is here.
Exactly.
Marie asks, what happens to the Irish?
Oh, they've got a special agreement. Irish are always safe. So if you're Irish, you're right. They've got a special agreement at the moment with the British. Whereas their position won't be affected. That's been written in stone on the www.gov.uk website. That's the only thing that's been guaranteed. The Irish.
Right.
Yeah.
I did set up a few of my friends that were on Facebook going, I've got Irish ancestry. I'm going for that now.
Yeah, but then again, I think you can have dual nationality if you're Irish as well. So
Okay.
it's always good to get the dual citizenship.
Pamela from Italy says, I love Britain. I'm very worried it might be difficult to come and visit friends and family there. Can we put her mind at
Yeah, we
ease
can.
with
I
this?
don't think for visitors within the EU they will impose a visa system. It's too costly and it's too rigid. Why would they do that if they don't?
And it affects all those British holiday makers that go to Europe every year in their millions.
We've got 10-hour queues already, mate, and we don't
No.
we don't want to extend that by introducing a visa system.
No.
And Americans don't need a visa to come here, just like you don't need a visa to go to America. So why would they make it more strict like that? That for holidays, visits won't be a problem. The problem is going to come for people who want to come here for more than 6 months.
Hadi asks about British people applying for EU passports. Is this happening a lot?
Some are, because they think now Britain's outside of the EU, that they won't get the benefits of free movement within the EU. So if free movement goes, then British people won't be allowed to move freely and live in Europe like they have been doing. So the expats are rightly worried. So some people think, right, if I get an Irish passport, then it's the best deal if you can get an Irish passport because you've got the British system.
What are the
there.
chances of you and I getting an Irish passport?
Oh, I don't know. We're worth a crack in it. It's worth a crack.
The Arthur Nikers.
My dad had a Guinness once.
Not sure that's enough to qualify you
It doesn't,
to get one of those.
But yeah, if you qualify for dual nationality, then go and get it. Like I said, what if you could have two passports? Why wouldn't you do that? So
If you're allowed to.
I know some people are saying, well, it's speculation. Yeah, if
India
you're allowed
won't
to.
allow to.
India
you
don't
to.
allow it.
Right.
I think Bangladesh doesn't allow it, and I think some certain countries don't allow it. But a lot of European countries do. If you could be Danish and British, why wouldn't you want both? And I think what you're going to find is a lot of the Europeans here who are going to be allowed dual nationality, they're going to think, well, why don't we get it?
Okay.
It's only going to be the cost is about only.
We had a question earlier on my BBC Asia Network show, didn't we, about someone who wanted 3 nationalities.
That's right, yeah.
British, Swedish and Pakistani.
Never heard of it, but if you can do it, go for it.
No, absolutely. How will this affect immigration from non-EU countries?
I don't really think it will affect immigration from non-EU countries that much, apart from there may be a problem now where we used to see a lot of marriages from, say, non-EU citizens to EU citizens, because you could get married in the UK and you could reside here, and some people said it was a lot easier way of staying here and it was around the system. You will see a decrease in that, but there's a decrease in that anyway because the marriage laws have been changed. You know, when you went to get married and you had to give 15 days notice at the registry office, well, that's all changed. That changed last year to 28 days. And if you're an immigrant, then that can be extended to 70 days and a Home Office have to be informed.
And you have to be married for much longer, don't you, before your spouse visa can be changed?
5 years.
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
So you have
Did
to
it used
stay
to be a
with your spouse
year?
It used to be a year, and then
Wow.
2 years, and then 5 years.
Ellie asks, should my daughter, who's an Italian citizen working in London for 2 years, apply for UK citizenship? She can't, can she, for 2 years if she's only been here for 2 years?
Yeah, she can if her mother's British.
Ah.
So all matters if the mother is British or the father is British.
Well, Ellie, you'd have to tell us that more information.
Yeah.
Wendy is asking about Australian-style system.
Yeah.
What is it, and could it work in the UK?
Yeah, I think it could work.
And that's the last question, unfortunately,
What
we
it
have time
is,
for.
it's a system where you apply based on your education, your skills, your achievements, your earning power, and your language skills. You make an application, then they assess you under the system. So they pretty much pick and choose. Canada have just followed a system with that called express entry, where they give permanent residency to the world's best. But what these countries are looking for STEM graduates, STEM, science, technology, engineering, maths. They're the graduates that these countries are looking for. So they can pick and choose. So it's almost like a lottery. You buy your ticket, put your ticket in, but it's down to the person who pulls the ticket out if you're going to be the winner or not. So they pick and choose. It's working well for Australia. It's working well for Canada. There's no reason why it can't work well here.
Anything on that list for immigration lawyers or radio broadcasters?
Listen, mate, the best we're going to do is Manchester and like maybe Southall for me. But,
oh well, that's it from us. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on Facebook Live. The Real Nihal at Twitter if you want to ask us some more stuff or just say hello.
That's Harjak Bangle on Twitter or Facebook or wherever. Yeah, you can't forget this mug.
Thanks for joining us.